We're gonna have fun. We're gonna have fun. And if this is your first time and you didn't get last week, like the orientation and prep week, that's totally fine. Do not worry. You will have plenty of time this week to rewatch it. I also give extensive class notes for the paid subscribers that we dive a little bit deeper on certain topics. So feel free to jump in on that as well. I also have a group chat here on Substack too. Please feel free to send recommendations, links to articles or interviews. I'm always interested in learning more. That's very important to me in my creative process. If there's something that you're like, we all need to know about, do not hesitate to drop it in the chat. I'm always here for that. Last week for orientation, we talked about the two non-negotiables that happen in the artist way, which are the artist date and the morning pages, and how important that is. And the morning pages is something you do every single day to help kind of clear your mind. And then you have the artist dates that you do once a week to bring some like life and beauty back into you. So those are going to be the constants that happen throughout the book. You're never not doing morning pages. You're never not doing the artist date. Okay. Today, we're talking about week 1, and the theme of it is recovering a sense of safety. I'm going to dive in a little deeper in places that I feel Julia has not. And I also would love to just clarify that this is through my lens too as an artist, but also as a Black woman. So there will be context to that. Please keep that in mind. I think that that's always important to like state, because for some reason people assume that that's not the lens. But I wanted to make sure that I touched on everything that would be of importance to us in this journey. And I feel like I have. One thing that I've learned in my wellness journey, especially when I was younger and I was stepping into the wellness space, and there was not a lot of Black representation that I had access to. Was there Black representation? There's always been Black representation, like always, even if it's not documented. However, where I was coming from and learning energy medicine, energy psychology, there were no references for me at the time. So I had to use books like The Artist Way, like Donna Eden's medicine healing book, Caroline Myss, to navigate. But it always was through the Black lens, because there are things that people who are not Black and people who are not Black women just are not looking for. They're just not putting into context. There are certain stories where I'm like, this is problematic. We should be talking to this person about their outlook on life. That is something that I will always do. It will never disappear. It doesn't go away because the author of this book is not a Black woman, okay? That is my lens. That is how I see the world. And because I see the world in that way, I have a deep level of empathy and understanding for what people may be navigating in their lives, because I am constantly at this intersection between racism and sexism and navigating both. That doesn't go away simply because I'm reading a book that's not written by a Black person, okay? I just want to be very clear on that. I also want to state that you can get wisdom from anywhere. Like a broken clock is right twice a day. I've had to cultivate curriculum for myself for over a decade and a half, because I was passionate about something and I deserved to be there, and I felt that in my heart, and I made it work. I became an alchemist to make texts that were not written with me in mind to be centered all around me and my experience. And that's just kind of what we do. Just so you're aware. I don't want you to be like surprised, like, oh wow, it's like a really Black experience. It is. And you're gonna be fine. Exactly. I create content for my younger self, for what she would have needed to feel seen in the spaces that she had to carve a space out for herself. That is what I do. And I feel like that appeals to a lot of people, and I'm really grateful about that. All right, so we're going to jump in. I'm going to read week 1. There is like one story that I edited out because I'm just like, this story is irrelevant to like my people, like as in like all of us as a community. This week initiates your creative recovery. You may feel both giddy and defiant, hopeful and skeptical. The readings, tasks, and exercises aim at allowing you to establish a sense of safety, which will enable you to explore your creativity with less fear. Shadow artist. One of our chief needs as a creative is support. Unfortunately, this can be hard to come by. Ideally, we would be nurtured and encouraged first by our nuclear family and then by ever-widening circles of friends, teachers, well-wishers. As young artists, we need and want to be acknowledged for our attempts and efforts, as well as for our achievements and triumphs. Unfortunately, many artists never receive this critical early encouragement. And as a result, they may not know they are artists at all. Parents seldom respond. Try it and see what happens to artistic urges issuing from their offspring. They offer cautionary advice where support might be more to the point. Timid young artists adding parental fears to their own, often give up their sunny dreams of artistic careers, settling into twilight world of could have beens and regrets. There, caught between the dream and of the action and the fear of failure, shadow artists are born. We're talking about what it is to be a shadow artist. This is very interesting because when I first read this part of the book, it didn't really relate to me. I was not discouraged from art growing up. And I'm realizing more and more that that might be a very unique experience. And that's okay. That's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. When I was younger, it was constantly like, go create something. I made jewelry, I made body scrubs, I was writing poetry, remixing songs, doing fashion shows, and I was really encouraged by my adults. It wasn't until I got into high school where I felt this need to be more serious, and art is not serious. I don't know where I got that from. It's probably the conditioning of life. And then I let go of art being the center of my existence. And I really went through a dark phase. Now that I think about it, those two things coincide. But that's when the shadow artist is born for a lot of us, is when we are told, whether it's face to face through people we love and care for, telling us that this is not a viable path, or the conditioning of media and society telling us, like, you can't be an artist because of XYZ. And then we begin to repress ourselves. And that's what she's talking about here with the shadow artist. Does that make sense? And have you had that experience? Yes. Okay, we're good. We're caught up. We're caught up. All right, perfect. All too often, the artistic urges of the child are ignored or suppressed. Often, with the best intentions, parents try to foster a different, more sensible sense of self for the child. Stop daydreaming is one of the frequently heard admonishments. You'll never amount to anything if you keep on with your head in the clouds, is another. That makes me so sad to hear, like they're kids, you know? I hope you take a moment too, as you're on this journey, to realize that you're going to be reconnecting with your inner child a lot. Take the time when you feel those feelings come up to give yourself a hug, to baby yourself in that moment, to ease yourself, to remind yourself, like, hey, that did happen to us. We're not going to act like it didn't happen. However, I'm here now, I'm older, have more resources and better community. I can hold you in this moment. You don't have to re-experience that trauma. Okay? Like, there are going to be times when you're triggered, and we do use EFT to help us get through those moments as well. But I think it's important to begin cultivating that relationship, that reparenting of your inner child, because your inner child and your inner artist are like one and the same. Baby artists are urged to think and act like baby doctors or lawyers. I know some of us can relate to that. A rare family faced with the myth of the starving artist tells its child to go right ahead and try for a career in the arts. Instead, if encouraged at all, the children are urged into thinking of the arts as hobbies, creative fluff around the edges of real life. For many families, a career in the arts exists outside of their social and economic reality. Art won't pay the electric bill. And as a result, if the child is encouraged to consider art in job terms at all, he or she must consider it sensible. So she gives an example of Erin. Erin is a gifted child's therapist. She was in her mid-30s before she began experiencing a haunting dissatisfaction in her work. Unsure what direction to take, she began adapting a children's book for the screen. Midway through the adaptation, she suddenly had a telling dream about abandoning her own artist child. Prior to becoming a therapist, she had been a gifted art student. For 2 decades, she had suppressed her creative urges, pouring all of her creativity into helping others. Now, nearly 40, she found herself longing to help her art again. Erin's story is all too common. Fledgling artists may be encouraged to be art teachers or to specialize in crafts with differently abled. Young writers may be pushed toward lawyering, a talky word profession, or into medical school because they're so smart. And so the child who himself saw them being a storyteller is now converted into a gifted therapist who gets stories secondhand. Too intimidated to become artists themselves, very often too low in self-worth to even recognize that they have an artistic dream, they become shadow artists instead. Artists themselves, but ignorant of their true identity. Shadow artists are to be found shadowing declared artists. Unable to recognize that they themselves may possess the creativity they so admire, they often date or marry people who actively pursue the art career they themselves secretly long for. Now, I want to talk about this right here. That was me for a very long time. One of my skill sets in my artistry is being able to use my voice, right? And for a long time, I did it through teaching, through taking an idea, breaking it down, making it digestible and relatable for my audience. And I loved it. I had no problem going on live and talking to you all and building that sense of connectivity. But I was also doing that because it felt like the safer thing to do than to use my voice to sing a song that I wrote, right? Or to act in a play that I wanted to be in. That felt more sensible and it felt like it would be more accepted. So I went that route and I excelled in that route. But now I'm realizing for myself, that was me embracing the shadow artist side and not fully living in my ability to shine as bright as I want to. And that is dangerous, right? Because you're going around life and you're operating in your zone of excellency and not your zone of genius. And we're here to operate in our zone of genius. So our zone of excellency are things that we do really, really well. We could probably do it in our sleep, honestly, but it's not as fulfilling. There's that disconnect of like, I'm not going to be mad about doing this, but it doesn't make me feel alive. Where when we're operating out of our zone of genius, we feel alive. We're excited. There's a deep hunger and passion to continue moving forward and unfolding and exploring. The goal of being an artist and accepting that as your title in life, as a character to put on, is that you're able to live in your zone of genius and express your art however you desire. That is such a liberating experience that no one can take away from you once you're able to cultivate it for yourself. And you need a healthy ego to do that. Because when we don't have a healthy ego, we do exactly what she said, right? We connect ourselves and we live vicariously through other artists, which explains like the parasocial relationships that many people have with artists and feeling like the need to tell them who to be or how to behave. And it's like, you don't even know that person, but you're so invested in their art and how they express it because you are not doing that investment into yourself. You feel entitled to make all these really intense critiques and like have this relationship with someone that you've never met. Or you live through people that you do know. Maybe you date someone that's an artist and they are a painter and you've always wanted to paint and you're constantly living through them. What ends up happening is harvesting of energy, which she doesn't talk about in this book. And I don't know how we don't speak about harvesting because that's exactly what happens. You end up taking from that person and it's no longer symbiotic because when two artists link up, when two equally yoked people come together, they expand and they unfold together. But if one person is suppressing their desires and the other person is living in them, what happens? There's no harmony there. Eventually you begin siphoning from that person that is living open and free. And sometimes because you are so focused on living open and free, you don't even realize that you're being harvested on. You have no idea until you leave the conversation or the person and you feel exhausted and you're tired and you don't know why. And it is because that person is living through you. And it doesn't mean that if you're operating in your shadow artist, that you're like this wicked person. Sometimes you genuinely have no idea. It took me time to realize that for myself of like, wow, when I'm teaching, though I'm good at it and I do love it, it's not my direct artistry. I can make it that way, but it's not. I'm operating out of the shadow. A lot of people don't know that they're doing that. They're not conscious energy vampires. They're like, oh yeah, Lotus has good energy. I'm going to go there and suck her energy dry. Like, it's just that your essence, you're radiating this feeling to them that feels so good, that feels familiar because it's supposed to inspire them to do it for themselves. But because they don't have the skill set or the awareness, they just think it means get closer to you. It means date you, marry you, become your best friend, or critique you at work, or, become a bully because they just want to have access to the energy by any means necessary. This is the spiraling that can happen when we do not acknowledge our inner artist, when we do not allow it to shine and thrive. Let me know if that makes sense before we move forward, okay? Yeah, it is. It's so sad. It's like, these are kids. Yes. Stop daydreaming. That's such a crazy thing to do because daydreaming is a great way to manifest, by the way. Like, daydreaming is like such a fun way to just sit, let the body relax and be present here and then allow your mind to time travel to different timelines, to see your hair a different way, or you doing something that's amazing. Like, daydreaming is incredible. It is why children are very, very, very happy in life because they're able to live in multiple timelines. And it's very interesting that we just like get rid of that or we condemn it or we say like it's airheadedness. It's just like, wow, I'm just exploring my imagination. You have to cultivate time. You have to carve it out in order to do that. And many of us do not do that because we are super concerned with how people are going to receive that. Are they going to think that I'm dumb or that I'm not talented? Or are they going to think that like I don't care or I'm not present enough? Like, daydreaming is important. Okay, I'm just reading through the notes, guys. Excellent versus genius, beautiful. Wow, Lotus, you are adding so much power to the book. Thank you, Jack, with your lived experience and wisdom. I appreciate it. Yes. Unconsciously operating out of shadow. This happens to a lot of us. Daydreaming is so fun. That's where all the breakthroughs come from. Yes, it does. To dampen our imaginations, to dampen our creativity. Yes, 100%. It is. And then once you're dampening that, you're dampening your connection to source. God, Allah, whoever you call on to in your time of need. You're dampening it. You can never really break that connection. I don't know why people kind of go around and say that, because certain things can't be broken. You can lose your sense of awareness to it and forget that it's there, for sure. But like, you're always connected to source. Otherwise you wouldn't be alive. You see what I'm saying? Like it's always there. However, it is very easy for us to forget that because we're so focused on the outer world. We're focused on how people are perceiving us. We're focused on capitalism and if we're going to be able to pay our bills on time. And can we handle this amount of fame? Or am I always going to be this person? You're doing all this outward work that you're forgetting that there's like infinite energy and wisdom running through you, keeping you alive enough to have your organs working simultaneously while you're overthinking and spiraling. The practices that we have in this book and the practices that I will share with you that I've used for myself are all to help us come back home and to refocus on us unapologetically so that we can remain aware of our connection to source, so we can show up and do whatever needs to be done. Because there's a reason why you are here. There's a reason why you have the skills that you have, the interests that you have. It is to help bless us, gift us with beauty, with art, with creativity. And no one else can do that but you. And that's not to be like super cheesy motivational speaker context. I'm dead serious. Like there are certain things that only I can do because I'm the person that had the experiences that cultivated that outlook. I am the person that has the body that can deliver the message, the skill set, okay, the vision. No one else has those certain things. You may have pieces of it, but it doesn't come to equate to me because I am only me and you are only you. And when we have that awareness, it allows us to have a better sense of confidence and courage to move forward. That goes back to my point around unhealthy ego. A lot of times ego is demonized. And I have like a whole masterclass on ego 101 that I'll upload for Substack for you guys. Is that when you have too little ego, when you're focused on being super humble or obedient or docile, that people pleasing energy, it doesn't help you create art, okay? It actually distorts your understanding of art because you're so willing to make anything happen for someone to receive it well instead of just creating from your heart and allowing it to reach those it needs to reach. And then you have the opposite end of that spectrum where you have too much ego, where you can't take feedback, where you think you're better than everybody, where you're operating out of probably rage. You're often triggered to defend yourself, constantly proving that your art is worth it. You forget the whole purpose of art is to enjoy yourself, to explore what you're capable of and to have fun. You will burn yourself out. Both of those are unhealthy ego. Then you have healthy ego, ego that can take feedback if need be, ego that doesn't take things personally because it understands like, hey, we all are going through things. Ego that allows you to show up and say, hey, this is my art and I'm cool if you like it or if you don't. I'm not losing sleep either way because I'm showing up for me because this feels good for me to do. And that's what matters. You need ego. Do not try to eradicate or kill off your ego. It's like whitewashing wellness because that is a wild thing to do. It is the only part of you. And that holy divinity that we have inside of us, that inner child, ego, higher self, your higher self is never going to go and chase a bag or get things done because it understands that everything works out in its favor. It's there to bless you with wisdom. Your inner child is legitimately a child. It's not supposed to go out there and get work done and be seen in that way. It's supposed to create and have fun and live life. Your ego is the part of you that is their human expression. It's the part of you that can get up and go and have that go-getter energy, have that hustler mentality to go and show up and be seen, to have the courage to say, I don't care if none of y'all like what I'm saying. I said it and I believe in it. And that's what it is. That is your ego. Now, I do want to clarify that there are two divine parts and one humane part for a reason. The goal is not to let it take over everything. It's to let it be that anchoring system that it is so that you can show up and bless the world with your art. Okay? Yes, I'm enjoying your ego context. It stuck with me from last week also. Yeah, ego is important. I have a healthy ego. I tell people that all the time. I don't feel any way. You can't make me feel anywhere. Like, I actually was just critiqued. I'm going to write about it later on in Substack, like for the class notes. But I was critiqued on picking this particular book because it was written by a white woman, and how it just kind of felt like me being a Black practitioner. Like, why would you pick that when there's tons of Black artists to choose from? Which I honestly respected the viewpoint. It was criticism that I was able to really receive and say, you know what? Let me make it very clear that this is a Black experience. Like, I did need to hear that, because that's never what I'm never trying to glorify whiteness ever, you know? And I could have easily, if my ego was unhealthy, have taken that as an attack on who I am as a person. But the truth is, they were frustrated. They saw something continuously being posted and they were like, "Girl, there's tons of Black artists that you could be choosing from. Why are you choosing this?" But they also didn't do enough research to see who I was and how I move, and that I constantly talking about being a Black woman. You know, like that's where my centering comes from. So I was able to look at it that way and take what I needed from it and leave the rest where it was. That's because I have a healthy ego. It's because I am actively okay with not being a humbled person, but also not thinking that I'm above receiving feedback. I really am happily living in that middle. Does that make sense? Yes, that's very still challenging to have that happen. Yeah, it's hard. You know, sometimes feedback, you're like, wow, you don't see the vision, but that's okay. Sometimes people don't see your vision because the vision was given to you. And it was given to you to express to certain people who will still be on that frequency with you and be able to receive that vision. But if they don't see the vision, it doesn't mean that you're not doing it right. It could just mean that you're not meant to see the vision from me. Like, that's fine. There are so many people who are out here sharing their creativity and showing up and doing incredible things. And we're all saying the same shit. I'm saying the same thing. Love yourself enough to explore art and beauty in your life. How many people say that? But no one is saying it like me. So it's important for us to remember that when you're moving forward. That's what a healthy ego can do. And we can always dive in deeper on ego, living, and all that stuff like that in the Substack, okay? Artists love other artists. I love that sentence so much because I cannot agree more. When people are expressing their art, I genuinely love it. One of my favorite things in the world, the things that make me the happiest, is being in the presence of somebody that is operating in their zone of genius. I can be there all day. It doesn't even matter what the topic is about. And I'm just sitting there like, wow, because there is something so incredibly beautiful when you get to witness somebody operating in alignment with themselves, with their vision, with their purpose, with their gifts, with their wisdom and their knowledge. It's breathtaking. And I love being able to witness that. I love it. I just think it's incredible that Source is using you in such a way where you're able to create something so uniquely designed. Shadow artists are gravitating to their rightful tribe, but cannot yet claim their birthright. Very often, audacity, not talent, makes one person an artist and another a shadow artist, hiding in the shadows, afraid to step out and expose the dream to light, fearful that it will disintegrate to the touch. Shadow artists often choose shadow careers, those close to the desired art, even parallel to it, but not the art itself. That's a big deal. You have to have the audacity. A lot of reasons why you see people in fields where you're like, why are you here? Why are you doing this? Where's this fan base coming from? It's because they have the audacity to go for it. And that really comes down to understanding like universal law and stuff like that. Like, if you show up for something, you believe you deserve to have it, like really believe. Most of us struggle with our sense of belief. And that's a whole other conversation that we can't get into for time's sake. But if you really believe that you deserve something, like you, the same way you believe you're going to take your next breath, that type of certainty. And you can tell that there's a difference in that, right? It's not me telling myself and like, I hope I believe it. And me knowing that I'm about to take another breath right now. That type of certainty. When you have that about something, you're going to have it because you realize that you've already had it. But once you realize that what you desire is because you already have it within you, you just want it to be expressed and you can experience it in this current reality, that changes the game on everything. Again, we deny ourselves that truth and go do things that are adjacent to what we really desire because we don't have the audacity, the courage, or the clarity, or the confidence to show up and own what we desire. That usually is the root cause of a lot of unhappiness for artists. You don't have the audacity to face the criticism that might come along with you stepping into your new role. That might be overwhelming to you. And you're just like, I can't deal with people not liking it or saying something bad about it or not understanding me or thinking I'm a bad person. I mean, especially when you have a labor of love on your heart and you share it, it's like you want people to immediately love it. And when they don't, you're just like, feels like a loss. But that again goes back to feeling centered and having healthy ego, because when people don't get it, you don't take it any type of way. You have to have audacity to be an artist, to live your life and actually enjoy it. Yeah. Have the audacity to accept and receive what it is that you desire. And exactly that, not a knockoff version of it, not half of it, not a percentage, all of it. And be willing to have the patience and the clarity to know when it's coming to you, because it may be in a different package. Yeah, have to shoot your shot. Exactly. There are a lot of people who are maybe not, yeah, they're not talented, but they have audacity. And sometimes people just really respect audacity that they're willing to overlook your talent. I personally do believe that is a different experience with Black women. You do need to also have some level of talent. We don't really have any leeway, really. We usually are very exceptional people when we are showing up in a space, and we tend to undermine our expertise because we don't fit the categories in which we are told we should fit. But when you really think about it and look at your life and the experience that you've had, you probably run laps around those people. You have to have audacity and then have the courage to also build up your skill set. Talent can be worked on, y'all. Natural or not, you can build up a skill set. I'm constantly talking to my girls and being like, yeah, go for the job. Like, oh, but I don't have this degree. Go for it, because you have the life experience. You haven't done all this work on yourself to see something that you want and not go for it. It's either you get it or you're one step closer to getting what you actually desire. Does that make sense? Like, you're never taking a step back or taking a loss. You step up, you have the courage to say, hey, I'm going to go for something that's out of my comfort zone, but I really think I can handle it. And either they're going to be like, yes, we think this is great for you, or they're going to say, no, this is not for you right now. But what you gain from that is experience of stepping up and having the audacity to go for what you wanted. I would never take that as a loss. It would never make sense to me to take that as a loss. That literally is life experience that is fortifying me to take the next step. Yeah, don't disqualify yourself. Like, people are going to try to disqualify you for so many other things. Like, why would you then go and do that? Don't add limitations onto yourself. That is going to be something you're going to constantly be reminded of in this journey from me and from the book. Do not limit yourself, especially if you identify as a Black person, as a femme, as somebody part of the LGBTQIA community, as somebody that is differently abled or neurodivergent. People are already limiting you. They're already telling you what you can and can't do. Do not do that to yourself. Be your biggest advocate. And then find people who will do that for you. Find your village. Find those people that are going to pour into you, that really love you. Even if they can't see the vision, they trust in you and your skill set and know that if you have that desire on your heart, you deserve to have the experience in real life. There are plenty of people in my life that I absolutely adore, and the desires and vision that they have for themselves, I can't always see. But I'm like, I know you though, and I know you deserve it, and they feel that way about me. And that allows me to have that audacity. It allows me to have that courage and that sense of safety, because I know I am being loved on, even if my vision is not clear to them. Tori, fortifying. I'm loving that word. Sierra used it in the most recent ancestor reading. She channeled for me. Ooh, fortifying. Oof. And I want you to know that fortifying doesn't mean that you're like starting from scratch. It just means that you are reinforcing what already is. It's always been there. You just need a reminder, and you remembering actually fortifies that desire or that skill set or that talent or whatever it is. Okay? Thank you. Yeah, I am. I actually am really good at receiving love, but that's just because I'm also really good at giving love too. It's a testament to who I am and what I've gone through and what I've had to experience, because I've also received lots of distorted love, lots of hate, lots of dislike. I think I'm good at receiving it all, because I understand that people are going through things and that people are going to see me and I may trigger them. I might project sometimes because I'm human. There's so many different reasons as to why people are going to give you something. You have every right to receive it and let it go, or receive it and keep it. Like, you don't have to do anything with the criticism if it's not helping you. Like, if it's hurting you and making you feel unaccomplished in life, let it go. Do not hold on to things that make you really question who you are and what you're worth. No, don't do that. Let's see where we're at. Protecting the artist child within. Remember, your artist is a child. Find and protect that child. Learning to let yourself create is like learning to walk. The artist child must begin by crawling. Baby steps will follow, and then there will be falls. There'll be weird first paintings. Beginning films that look like unedited home movies, first poems that would shame a greeting card. Typically, the recovering shadow artists will use these early efforts to discourage continued exploration. Judging your early artistic efforts is artist abuse. This happens in any number of ways. Beginning work is measured against the master's work of other artists. Children do this, by the way. I can't tell you, like, as an art teacher, how many times I have drawn something and then kids are like trying to do the same thing. Like, why can't I do it? It should be just like yours. And I have to explain, like, I am legitimately an adult. Like, I had years upon years of experience. And this is also like my profession to be able to cultivate this. Why would you ever feel the need to do exactly this? I love what you made because what you made is through your own vision and it's really cool. It's something that I wouldn't have been able to do. I have to reinforce this for children who are 4 and 5. So imagine that being compounded through life. And then you decide that you're going to finally allow yourself to embrace your artistry again. And you're starting again and your voice is a little wonky or your paintings aren't where you want them to be. You're talking to that 4-year-old, to that 5-year-old. They're trying again. They're getting up after they scrape their knee and they're trying again. That's exactly what's happening with you when you step in and realize that you no longer want to live as your shadow artist, okay? Beginning work is exposed to premature criticism, shown to overly critical friends. In short, the fledgling artist behaves with well-practiced masochism. Masochism is an art form long ago mastered, perfected during the years of self-reproach. This habit is the self-hating bludgeon with which a shadow artist can beat himself right back into the shadows. In recovering from our creative blocks, it is necessary to go gently and slowly. What we are after here is the healing of old wounds, not the creation of new ones. No high jumping, please. Mistakes are necessary. Stumbles are normal. These are baby steps. Progress, not perfection, is what we should be asking of ourselves. Too far, too fast, and we can undo ourselves. Creative recovery is like a marathon training. We want to log 10 slow miles for every fast one. This can go against the ego's grain, and I would say the unhealthy ego. We want to be great immediately, but that's just not how recovery works. It is an awkward, tentative, and embarrassing process. It is so embarrassing. It's embarrassing. But you got to be okay with being embarrassed, y'all. You have to be, embarrassment is a part of the art process. You have to be okay with being embarrassed. And again, I understand why that feels more intense for us now because for a lot of us, like who are millennials or older, like we remember the analog age where digital wasn't everywhere and not everybody had a camera. So we could make a fool of ourselves and it just be a memory for some people that may be inaccurately retold later on. But now you have video and camera on you pretty much anywhere you go all the time. You could be thinking that you're making a mistake on your own and somebody like 5 feet away from you is recording you randomly, which I think is weird, but it happens. And now you're afraid to go and be messy and to do the thing because embarrassment tends to live on forever in a very intense way where thousands of people have access to it. That's a big deal. That can be super damaging to the nervous system. And it requires a hell of a lot of vulnerability and courage to do so. And it requires you to remember that you're human. Like, you'll see, I'm a very human person. There are going to be times where I'm tripping up and reading the book. I read too fast. I might read too slow. Like, if this is you're talking to a human being. I'm human. I'm not a robot. It's not going to be perfect all the time. I'm going to make mistakes and they're going to live forever on the internet. And I found a way to become okay with that truth. So even though I am showing up, I'm making these mistakes, it doesn't matter because I know it's going to help somebody. And if it doesn't help anybody else, it just helps me. That also works too because I'm here living my own life, right? These things make sense. And it's important for us to remember. There will be many times when we won't look good to ourselves or anyone else. We need to stop demanding that we do. It is impossible to get better and look good at the same time. Remember that in order to recover as an artist, you must be willing to be a bad artist. Give yourself permission to be a beginner. By being willing to be a bad artist, you have the chance to be an artist, and perhaps over time, a very good one. When I make this point in teaching, I am met by instant defense and hostility. But do you know how old I'll be by the time I learn to really play the piano, act, paint, write a decent play? Yes, the same age you'll be if you don't. So let's start. That's the main cusp of the recovery week for recovering a sense of safety. And then we're going to get into handling core negative beliefs. and why it's important for us to shift that, because we tend to be our own biggest critics. And we talked about that in the prep week about the censor, which through conditioning, through childhood traumas and like social media in general, you may have cultivated an inner voice that is very mean to you, that tells you that you can't do enough. Or like in my case, like I expressed, telling me that I should be doing more, that it should be perfect before it's given out. That is not your divinity speaking to you. That is your conditioning from society. And it's going to come up a lot as you are trying to expand and unfold in your artist journey, because it's fear. And fear, again, like we talked about before, it's not a bad thing. It's just saying, hey, we're about to go into the unknown and I've never been here before. I have no game plan for this. I don't want anything to happen to you. I'd rather you stay here where even though you're unhappy, at least you know what to expect. It is up to us to have the bravery to say, we're going to go into the unknown. We're going to be okay. We're going to now utilize our ability to have faith moving forward and trusting that I would have this desire come up in me, source when I have this desire in my heart to have me go and do this thing, for me to fail epically and be harmed in the process. I'm going to have faith in myself and my ancestors, my angels, my source, whoever it is that you call on to in your time of need. I'm going to have faith and we're going to move forward and you're going to be okay. And that's super important. And a lot of us just don't get to that point of building up that faith because the fear seems so huge. Like we'll never get past it. But fear is really not as intense or as big as we think it is if we address it head on and not look at it as an enemy, which he does say, your enemy within. And I don't agree with that. I don't have no enemies that live within me. No. But I do have parts of me that are hurt and that are afraid and that deeply remember times where I didn't think I was going to make it through a situation and they don't want to see me go through that again. So perspective is everything on that too, okay? Yes, perfection is the enemy of productivity. Exactly, Emily. It's the enemy. That is within me though. It's conditioning that I have to get from outside. Does that make sense? So some of the things she says that people say in their negative beliefs are, I'm going to read a few of them because there's 20 and there's no need to put that much negativity out into the world. Everyone will hate me. I will hurt my friends and family. I'll go crazy. I'll abandon my friends and family. I can't spell. I don't have good enough ideas. It'll upset my parents. I'll have to do it alone. It'll be bad work, or I'll feel too angry, or I'll never have any real money. These are some of the general feelings and negative responses that come up when you are stepping into your artistry and deciding that you are going to be brave enough to share your art out loud. They might come up. The money thing is a big deal for me. Can I pay my bills on this? Because I have to be able to pay my bills because I live in a capitalistic world. That is a big deal for me. And it's that I constantly work on through EFT and tapping through it so that way I can move past it, because I just don't want to be limited by my outdated beliefs anymore. They don't belong in this experience that I'm having now. And something she says here, negative beliefs are exactly that, beliefs, not facts. It's not factual. It's a feeling. And your feelings are valid, but they're there to give you information and they're supposed to go and move on. Once they start staying in the body and harboring in the body and festering, it becomes a problem. The goal is to feel the feeling and let it subside. But you can't do that if your body's not regulated. If your mind and your body is not connected, it's going to be extremely hard for you to get to a space where you can let a feeling come in and let a feeling go. Let me know how you guys are feeling right now before we jump into the EFT. How is this resonating for you? Do you struggle with a sense of safety in your creative journey, in your artist journey? And are you willing to transform? And again, if you're watching the replay, you can always leave a comment too and let us know how you're feeling about this, because this type of content is evergreen. We're constantly going to be talking about this. So whether you're here right now or you're joining in later on, are you willing to face the negative beliefs? So that's one thing. You have to be able to face it. And I'm going to show you how you can do it in a way that doesn't seem so scary in a second, okay? Are you willing to do that? And then are you willing to reprogram, rewire, make peace with that statement, and then transform it, alchemize it into something that will actually benefit you so you can move forward? So for instance, she has it where people might believe that artists are drunk, crazy, broke, irresponsible. How do you change those into positives? That artists can be sober, that they can be sane, that they can have money, and that they can be responsible. You can be the opposite of your negative beliefs. It may take some time. It may mean rebuilding a skill set, having some more life experience. It may require a different level of discipline that you're used to doing, but you definitely transmute energy. That is a constant in life. You never have to live with those negative thoughts longer than you need to. Once you become aware that you have them, you will have the tools necessary to transform them. I do believe that when we find something deep like that, that can be triggering, that the tools are usually nearby, but we're too triggered to realize it, which is why I hold these spaces the way that I do, because my hope is that you'll be able to use things like EFT to help you through those moments where you might feel triggered. See, I think I felt forced into my excellence for so long. And at such a young age, I gave up on finding and creating my own art. And now I'm trying a little bit of everything to see what I enjoy. I love that. First of all, I love just the acknowledgement of, and that's the thing, especially, for like Black women, we're constantly pushed into the excellent zone. We're never really pushed into the genius zone. Something we should probably explore as a collective. Because it's like there's certainty with excellency. It's something that most people will agree on, you know? Like most people will probably agree that I'm a decent teacher, that I'm a good teacher across the board. I'd be very shocked if someone was like, she's horrible. I'd be very, very shocked. But someone saying like she's a great singer, that's super subjective. Even though for me that feels like my zone of genius, that might be for someone like, girl, no, her voice is not it for me like at all. There's so much uncertainty in the zone of genius that feel very scary. So it makes sense that as children we were kind of pushed into that zone of excellency because that's what many of our parents or adults or figures in our lives thought was stability. And they were living in a very unstable world, which we now realize as adults is like a constant thing. We're constantly living in an unstable ass world. You're looking and searching for that sense of stability and not realizing that that kind of comes from your divine practice, right? That comes from knowing yourself and loving yourself through the ups and downs outside of you. Because there's no real stability in the outside world. There's none. And it could be a little triggering when you really think about the fact that there's none. However, there is stability with your internal world. With waking up every day and feeling good in your body, you have actual influence over that. And you can build up the practices and rituals and routines that will allow you to sustain that. And that can then influence the outside world. But it will never, ever, 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 ever eradicate the chaos. And I love that you're trying a little bit of everything now, too. I think that's a great way to go into it after you realize, like, okay, cool, I have been blocking myself and now I want to try everything out to see what it is. There is something beautiful about that. Doing it messily, doing it without any real experience, allowing yourself to have that childlike wonder experience to it is amazing to do because you never know what's going to click for you. And the great thing about it too is that because you're rediscovering your creativity as an adult and you have, adult funds and to a certain degree, you can really pick and choose what you want to invest in where that may not have been the primary goal for like the adults in your life because they may not be able to see like where that would have taken you and the family. And that just is what it is. Yeah, I appreciate you, Sia, for sharing that. Sierra, yes, as a Black woman, especially living in a country that does not love me. It's been hard to feel safe. Yeah, while also doing the work to alchemize and channel this energy into my art and other creative channels. Exactly. Yeah, yeah. The feeling safe, especially as a Black body, is never gonna come from the outside world. Even now, I feel very safe in my body and I feel safe in this world. I know that sounds like a crazy ass statement to me because I could go outside today and not make it back home. And that is just an unfortunate reality as a Black person. However, I do feel very, very safe. And it is because I have a very deep, clear understanding of who I am, why I'm here. I feel very connected and in tune to my ancestors. I feel like they would go above and beyond to keep me safe until this gift is given the way it's supposed to be given. I also understand myself enough to have people around me, to have a village around me of people that love me deeply, that would do absolutely anything for me, and that constantly pour back into me. That took time to create, but it all started with me literally telling myself I am safe. Because there were so many times where I just like, I don't feel safe. And there are times where I think back and I'm like, girl, you were not physically safe. Oh my God. How did you make it through? But I did. I did make it through. And I'm able to say now that I do feel safe in my body, even in a country that looks at me and thinks that I am not worth anything, which to me is just like hilarious. It's like, do you see the material? Like Black women are Black women. Like, anyway, I digress. Even with that, even with policies being taken back and historical wins being reversed, that would deeply impact not only me, but like the children in my life that I adore. And as they get older, I still feel safe and it has nothing to do with the outside world. I feel safe enough to show up and to speak my truth, to share my pride. I feel really safe enough to go and say, like, I'm a proud Black woman and I'm going to talk about the Black experience and I'm going to share things with my community and I'm going to love myself and love them to the best of my ability. In me doing that, it helps me to feel safe. And that's a personal experience. That might not be for everyone, but it is for me. If I were dysregulated and I thought about it too long, making live videos in my home, sharing my innermost thoughts with people all over the world, where it can be screenshotted and sent somewhere else, where my words can be re-edited, it could be deep fake, all these horrible things are possible to happen. Yeah, it would make me probably spiral, right? But because I feel safe in who I am and in the fact that I do believe I can handle whatever comes next. And not only do I believe I can do it because of me, but because of my ancestors, because of my sisters, because of my girlfriends, because of my village, because of how they pour into me and how they protect me, I do think I can get through any storm. And I definitely do think I can thrive in a place that does not want me here. It speaks true to my name of being a lotus flower. And if you know the story of the lotus flower and how it blooms from a place it shouldn't bloom from, I think that is the storyline for Black women in general. Our ancestors were in this country and they made it happen. They survived and they thrived. They are named and unnamed. But all of that energy, all those dreams and prayers, they still cover us to this day. You cannot convince me otherwise that my grandmother's prayers for me when she was alive do not exist today in this moment and that they don't cover me. They definitely do. There's no one could change that belief for me. That's the beauty of having beliefs. They are for you, right? And because of that, I can move forward and feel like, okay, I can get through today. Thank you for your courage and determination to bring your vision and magic into this unwelcoming world. Appreciate you. Yes, yes, yes. That's where my artistic healing is taking place too. Creating without pressure of completion or income. Yeah. Tori, love your honesty and rawness. Yes. Creating without pressure hits differently. It does. It is a weird experience. I don't know. Maybe you guys can chime in on that. I know for me, creating, like even doing this experience here, my only outcome or my only desire is to complete the 12 weeks. Like whatever happens along the way happens. And there have been some beautiful things so far. The Anti-Black Artists Club was like featured on like a Substack repost, which if you guys are on Substack, like heavy, that's like a big deal. So these are like really cool things that are happening, but these are not goals that I've had set. And they weren't like, these are like wild dreams coming true for me, really and truly, because I didn't have the idea to have that happen to me. My only concern for me was getting through it and having fun with it and trusting that if that ever changed, that I have the courage to pivot. Those are the only things that I'm thinking about. There are no other pressures that I'm adding on to myself because I am not a diamond. I am not a stone. I'm a human being that's living and breathing, that bleeds. Pressure does not make me better at all. Do not apply pressure to me. It will not go well. I need space to unfold. I need soft landing. I need nourishment and care. I'm very much a flower. I need all those elements in my ecosystem so that I can thrive. And if one of those things are out of balance, it shows. I love you guys so much. Protect your things, yes. Oh my gosh. We'll do a live on human design at some point in the future for sure. Then I'll share the creative affirmations that she has here. The creative affirmations will also be in the class notes. So you'll notice that at the end of every live, there will be general class notes that'll come with the replay video. And then there will be class notes called like the after party that go a little bit more in detail, and they'll have the EFT script there. You'll still have access to EFT, but for people who may not want to do with the video, you'll have access to that in the after party. Just up to you. I just want to make that clear. Do you have any questions about recovering a sense of safety? Or is there anything that I can answer? Feel free. We have some time. Please. If there was something in the book that didn't make sense to you or that you wanted me to talk more in depth about, we have space for that. This is the time to grab water. I have matcha because that's my business, but I really do want you to drink water. I'm not leading by example, but please just drink the water. Just drink the water. That's all I ask. Drink the water. My whole New York accent comes out when I say it because it's that important to me, okay? Drink the water. I want you to sip on it first before we dive in. It's very important to drink water. If you've never done EFT before, any somatic practice that you do, you should be hydrated first and foremost. Otherwise, it will get weirder for you afterwards. It's not just in the moment that there's change that's happening. It is also afterwards where you get the after waves of the change, okay? So water is really important because it helps us process our emotions. Most times when you are overwhelmed or super emotional, you're probably dehydrated. Ciara, do you have any recommendations on taking steps toward creating that safe, nourishing space for yourself? Yes, I do. First and foremost, the morning pages. Really important. And I don't know if you were here with us here for the first one, but definitely rewatch the week 0, the preparation, because I talk about it more. But morning pages is huge. But I have a journal that I write everything in, everything. And that helps me so much. It feels like it's a very small act, but it's a big deal for me to be able to say what I really feel. Especially as a Black woman, we do not have a lot of space where we can do that, where we can really say how we feel, because we are super vigilant for clear, obvious reasons. When we are in a space where there is, let's say, mixed company, right? It's not just Black femmes or Black women. You're like, okay, I don't want to offend anybody that's non-Black. And I don't want to offend like the men, because you're trying to survive. And that makes you filter and limit what it is that you say and how you say it, and also how you feel and how you express it. You need a place to just be. Some people create community circles. When I was in New York City, I had vibe sessions that I would do once a month, and people were able just to come and just speak their truth. It was exclusively for Black femmes so that they had that space and not to deal with the hypervigilancy of editing their words for other people. When I write my morning pages, it is how I feel. Whether I'm frustrated, angry, whether it sounds ignorant or stupid, it all goes in those pages for me. And I've suggested that people can do voice notes, they can do video, whatever works for you, but you need a space to talk your shit, period. A lot of things that people do and go viral for on TikTok or the internet is weird to me, because I'm like, that could have gone to your journal. There was literally no need for us to know that you had those thoughts. None. You needed to express it, yes, but it didn't need to. This was not the platform. That goes in a book. So I would strongly suggest starting there and letting yourself air it out, how you really feel. When I was younger, my mentor gave me one journal, just called, like, it was like a burn journal. And it was just about my rage, because I was a very angry child. And writing out my anger helped me so much to begin feeling safe enough to express it and get the help that I needed. For me, I was worried that I was like this monster that was going to hurt people. I needed a space to explore and to see what my rage looked like outside of me, and then to build up that sense of safety. So that's one way to do it, getting the thoughts out in a space that is just for you. I do know that some people have an issue with journaling because like some people's space invaded, and I get that 100%. I'm a little different about that, because I feel like if someone goes out of their way to read something that's very intimate to me, whatever happens to you happens to you. Like, that gives karma to me personally. Like, I can sleep at night on that because I did not give that to you. But that's one thing I would do. Find a place for you to be able to talk, whether that's through like a best friend and having like a really good venting session, someone that you really trust, that knows your heart. Village is very important. I'm going to say this really quickly because this goes into what you're asking for me. Teach about this in my parenting class. You need a good village, a village that cares about you. And you also cannot be the sage of your own village. You cannot be the wisest person in your village at all. You're never going to feel safe if you're the person that's constantly giving out mentorship. You're never going to be able to have space to be human. You need to be able to be human and messy. So you need to have people around you who know your heart. Because there are things that I say that are super problematic. I'm very honest about that. I'm a very polarizing person. I say this all the time. I know people are like, but you come off so kind and sweet. And I am. I am kind and sweet. But I am very polarizing. And I'm extremely intense about my womanhood and my Blackness. And that can be a turnoff for a lot of people. But because of my village and the discernment and the time it took to cultivate these women that are in my village, I can say something that might seem intense to somebody else and they completely understand because they know my heart. So not only do I have a diverse village, but I have people who love me. They love me and they like me and they respect me. Those three things are going to create trust in that relationship between you and the other person. If you love, if you like, and if you respect them, you'll have that trust. And then you can really start to feel safe in those areas too. So that's a step up. So you start with the self, right? Self-source. If you're a spiritual person, building that relationship with God, ancestors, angels, whoever you call on to, building that relationship with yourself, using your journal to write out how you actually feel about something, and then having friends who know your heart and love you. Those three things create a deep, profound sense of safety that begin to transcend in other spaces. Yes. Oh, Sia, you like the morning pages? Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. So good. Actually, I feel like I was studying some things too. And Bell Hooks talks about writing and journaling in the morning too. She was also doing morning pages. I don't think it was because of Julia. I just think it's a thing creatives do. But she spoke about how it allowed her to come back home to herself every single day by writing out how she felt, writing out the thoughts in her mind and emptying herself. She was able to really see who she was. And it allowed her to progress in her writing journey. And Bell Hooks' catalog is insane, right? That is an amazing thing to do. Like morning pages is really, I know it sounds so simple and it sounds tedious and it sounds boring, but I'm telling you, you're going to be so grateful when you go back and you read your pages and you see how you were honest with yourself, how self-aware you were, how kind or even how mean you were to yourself. Like all that information is data that you need to make better choices in life. And when you look at it that way, it also allows you to feel safe too. Thank you for sharing that, Sia. Village feels like one of the clearest calls to action I'm receiving from you today. Yeah, your village has to be on point. My village is no joke. Them girls do not play about me, okay? They love me as fiercely as I love myself. That love that they have for me, I have for them. And the kind of accountability that we have for each other, there is no calling out or being mean or playing devil's advocate. None of that stuff is happening in my village because I don't like that. Some people do like that. I don't like that in my village. I don't need an advocate for the devil in my village. Like what? But instead, it's just love. It's very much, are you happy and satisfied in your life? Are you safe? If I'm saying yes to those things, we're good to go. But if they even sense that I don't feel safe, if they sense that I'm not satisfied, we're going to sit and hold space until you do feel that way. They have all the patience in the world for me. And these are women that live very busy lives. I have mothers in my village, mothers of multiple children, mothers with children that are on the spectrum. That takes a lot of time and energy and effort. And they think that I am worth it. That is a big deal for me. To feel that valued and that cherished in life is so incredible. But you cannot have a really healthy village if you do not have a healthy sense of self. Because you'll end up attracting people and things from your distorted view of yourself, and they will match that. And then it will feel unsafe. You got to be very clear in who you are. That's what those morning pages are for. I'm clear on who I am, and that is why I'm loved the way that I'm loved. Yes, yeah. They don't judge. They don't judge. No, they don't. They don't. And I don't judge either. Am I judgmental? Sure. You know what? I'm sure if you ask them, they'll be like, girl, yes. But not to them. They know, they'll tell you that too. Like, not to me. And even though they know that I have that quality about me, they don't ever assume that I would be judging them. It never crosses their mind. And when I tell them things, I never have the preface by saying, please don't judge me. It doesn't even come to my mind. I know that they know my heart. I know that they know how much I love, how much I've been through. They understand that I have a deep sense of integrity. I could never imagine them ever looking at me for my shortcomings and just being like, that's all that Lotus is. They really respect the humanity that I carry, and I respect theirs too. Yes. Okay. Was helpful? Okay. Perfect. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So now we're getting into EFT. It's going to be pretty short. We're doing one negative round, one positive round, and this is around recovering a sense of safety. I want to give a little disclaimer here for people who are new. EFT, emotional freedom techniques, it is like acupuncture for your feelings. Essentially, you're tapping in a sequence along the body. And as you're doing this, you're talking to the body in a language that it understands. And you're saying, hey, there's something I'm going to be saying that I either want to bring to the surface and transmute and let go of, or I no longer want to believe in. That's what's happening in the negative round. So when we're reading these things out loud, I don't want you to think you're calling this over your life because yes, our words are powerful. But when we're using it in conjunction with EFT, we are removing the negative first, clearing out space, and then we're using our positive round to fill it in with sweet things. Things that are going to uplift us and allow us to feel safe on our creative journey. That is always what's happening when I am teaching you EFT. I cannot speak for other practitioners. My intention is always for you to feel safe. First and foremost, there's a practice that happens outside of EFT that I do before I even jump on a live to ensure that people feel safe in my lives. I'm very serious about that. That's why I talk about drinking water so that you can feel safe when the emotions come up, because you are freeing emotions. You are closing any energy gaps in your body when you're tapping, connecting the mind back to the body, rewiring the brain to say, hey, we've been operating this way, but we're going to change it up and do something different because this is going to serve me better. And you're bypassing a lot of chaos that can kind of come up in traditional forms of therapy. EFT is an amazing tool to use. It is free to use. And I hold the space for you and I create EFT content so that you have tools to get through hard moments in case you cannot get in contact with me. That is always the intention. And if at any moment in time you feel overwhelmed by the experience, I want you to pause. I want you to drink water. And then I want you to hug yourself. Squeeze really, really tightly, bring a smile to your face, and then relax. And if you want to join back in, you can. You're going to notice that when you're tapping, one point feels really, really good. I have coined that your sweet spot. Feel free to stay in that space. For me, it's my collarbone. So there are times where I'm walking around just tapping here because it's helping me to regulate in the moment. That's totally fine. You can follow the sequence, but ultimately do what your body's telling you to do because your body knows what it needs. I'm not like that type of practitioner that's like, do what I'm saying all the time. Trust your intuition. Your body's going to say, oh, we're talking now. Stay here. This feels good. I got to release something here. That's very important. And then there's 4 ways that you can tap. You can tap traditionally by lightly tapping here on the fingertips. You can pulse, keeping the hand to the body. You can rub, which feels very soothing. You can hover, not touching the body at all. Or for those that are limited in their mobility, you can envision yourself tapping in that space. And it still will do what it needs to do. It will still connect the mind to the body. It does require more mental effort, but it can definitely be done. Let's start with drinking some water. Take a nice deep inhale, exhale. Soften the shoulders a bit. And we're going to jump into our negative round. And we're going to start with the side of hand. Then we move to top of head, start of brow, side of eye, under nose, chin, that's the crease, collarbone, heart, and under the arm, okay? That's the flow. You don't have to remember it at all. I'm just showing you as a reminder, but you can just follow me, okay? Side of hand, we're going to lightly tap, pulse, rub, hover, or vision right here. Take a nice deep inhale, exhale. Another deep inhale. Slow exhale. Repeat after me. Even though creativity hasn't always felt safe for me, I'm willing to name what's true right now. One more time. Even though creativity hasn't always felt safe for me, I'm willing to I'm willing to name what's true for me right now. Top ahead. There have been moments where my art was encouraged and moments where it was dismissed. Brow. I've been told that art isn't serious, that it's not a real path. Side of eye. And I felt like my creativity wasn't enough. Under the eye. Or that it wouldn't be taken seriously. Unless it fits someone else's story or stereotype. Under the nose. Hearing those messages made me doubt myself. Chin. At times, I would even shrink myself, my gifts, just to avoid judgment and criticism and disappointment. Collarbone. At times, I've wondered, does my art even matter? Is it important? Heart. These doubts have kept my shadow artists in charge. Under the arm. And today, I am letting myself feel how heavy and how heartbreaking that has been. I want you to drop your hands to your side, take a nice deep inhale, breathing in from the lower belly, allowing it to rise up into the heart space, and an open mouth exhale to release. Soften the shoulders, soften the face. Okay? Go ahead and take a sip of water. And I just want you to see how you feel. You might notice that after the negative round, you might feel a little lower in energy. You might feel a little sad. And that's okay because what we're tapping on, the statements that we're making, you may have heard it at some point in time, whether it was to you or to somebody else you cared about. You may have said it to yourself. You may have said it to somebody else. And those feelings still live in the body. So when we're tapping, we're bringing it to the forefront. We're saying, hey, this has been said to me, or I've said it, or it's been in my atmosphere. I want to bring it to the forefront and I'm ready to transmute it because it no longer serves me. So it's okay if your energy feels a little lower. That's why we end on the positive round. That will bring you up. Right now, what you need to do is drink water, take a nice deep inhale, and then we're going to jump into the positive round, okay? And I'm going to drink my matcha that has coconut water in it. And we're going to get into it. Now we're going to be choosing safety, community, and courage. Let's get into it. Start your side of the hand. Tap, a tap, tap. Deep inhale. Slow exhale, release. Repeat after me. Use your voice. Your voice is medicine, by the way. I didn't say it earlier, but use your voice, okay? Even though these doubts still linger, I know they are not the truth of my art. One more time. Even though these doubts still linger and they are annoying as hell, I know they are not the truth of my art. Top of head. As I create and listen, I will be led. Brow. Through the use of a few simple tools, my creativity will flourish. Side of eye. As I show up for myself and my artistry, cultivating rituals and routines that root me, I will feel good. Under the eye. I am cultivating a village that believes in me. Whether they fully get my vision or not, they love me. They respect me. And they are champions for me and my art. Under the nose. And I'm willing to learn to let myself create. Permission is everything. Chin. I'm willing to let God, source, whoever you call on to, create through me. Collarbone. My creativity heals me. And it can heal others. Heart. I am allowed to nurture my artist and stand fully in my gifts. Under the arm. I choose safety, community, and courage as I step out of the shadows and allow my art to shine. Then we're going to place our hands over our heart space and take a nice deep inhale, breathing in. And a slow exhale, letting go. Deep inhale, breathing in. Slow exhale, letting go. See if you can bring a smile to your face as you do so. Allowing the sensation of the tapping to run through you. You might notice that your energy is a little higher. You may notice that you might be burping or laughing or tearing up. These are all signs that energy is moving, that those gaps within your creativity are closing up. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay? And we're going to keep our hands on our heart space as we say this affirmation before we head out. Okay? And it's not really an affirmation. These are wise words from the ancestor, that is Audre Lorde. And I actually have a picture of her in this quote in my living room. I had it from college. It was given to me as a gift when I started the R.G. Lord Collective at my college. Reinstated it, so it was amazing. All right, here's what we're going to say. I'm going to take a deep breath, breathing in. And on that exhale, we're going to smile to our face. And we're repeating, when I dare to be powerful, to use my strength in service of my vision, then it becomes less and less important whether I am afraid. When we are choosing to show up for ourselves, y'all, and to allow our creativity to lead us, to allow our inner artist to lead us, the fear, the sensation of feeling unsafe, it no longer becomes a priority. It's no longer at the forefront. Does it still exist? Probably, yeah. In some capacity, it always will, because that's a part of the human experience. But the other part of that experience is wielding your divinity, channeling your art and your creativity, and allowing yourself to be as messy as possible, exploring what that looks like for you right now with who you are and what you've been through and where you're at in life, and not adding any more judgment onto it, and not allowing anyone else to minimize your art or your experience, and not allowing old stories from your childhood to dictate who you are today in your adulthood. When you are showing up to be of service, to share your art and your genius with this world, fear no longer is a factor, because you are operating in faith. And that will always carry you farther than you can possibly imagine. Deep inhale, breathing in. Slow exhale, letting go. You can open your eyes if they have them closed. If you have them closed, okay. How are we all feeling? Hopefully you're feeling really good. Hope you're feeling a little bit more vibrant, ready to go and enjoy the rest of your day, because we're all at different time zones. So I hope you feel good. Hope you feel seen. I'm going to just check the chat really quickly. Yes, Bell Hooks also wrote in the morning. So did Maya and Tony. Yeah. a lot of us did. Yes. The morning pages have been powerful for me too. It's just the village that's been challenging. And Sierra, I hope you understand too that you probably did know that already, and that's why you're here. Because now you have village. You have people. You have people. You have me. You have other people that are in the comments and people who are going to come and watch the replay. You have village. It exists. And you're going to continue to have that discernment to build it with intention. Okay? That's why spaces like this happen digitally, because the truth is sometimes in our day-to-day life, we don't have access to those people. It took me a decade to cultivate the women that I have. It wasn't an overnight success, right? A lot of my friends don't even live in the same state as me, right? We are constantly using technology to connect, to love on each other. And there's a reason why you brought yourself to this live, and why it's resonating so much with you, and why you're being so incredibly brave in sharing your story and interacting with us, because you do feel safe here. Even if it's just for the hour and a half, that is why I'm doing this for a full season. The goal is that by the time we are done, we complete this book, but that we find others to love on us, right? To accept our creativity and our artistry and to champion us. I have plenty of people literally all over the world that really do love and care for me, and have never met me in person, at all. And they care for me, and I care for them. I care for who they are as people. I care for how they show up in the world. I care that they know that I love them, that they have access. That's why I do my best to make sure that the quality of what I'm giving it transcends, it helps. It'll provide nourishment for them in times where I may not be able to be there because I'm on my journey. You have found village, and you're going to continue to, because you've already clarified that that's where you want to go next in your journey of feeling safe in that recovery. And I would not be surprised that if at some point during this week you have a heart to heart with somebody or connect with somebody and add a new person to the village. And before you know it, you're going to be surrounded by people who reflect exactly who you are, which is incredible. Thank you for the example of what healthy village looks and feels like. Always. I'm going to always do my best to be that example when it comes. I do not play about safety, especially for Black women. We deserve to have spaces like this, and I don't understand why we don't have more. It would literally help the entire world, but I digress. Okay, same Sierra, my village is being reconfigured, and there is grief in that, but also liberation and space for more love. Yeah, and that's okay. It's okay that your village is changing because your mission is probably becoming clearer, and those people can help you map out or fulfill that vision, and that's okay. That's okay. The grief is important because it shows you that there was love there, right? Even if it doesn't maybe end on the best of terms. We always hope that it does, but sometimes it just doesn't because humanness is messiness. But it's okay to grieve and to utilize your art to help you navigate that grief. That's what it's there for. It's there to help us navigate the parts of humanity that feel overwhelming, that feel like we'll never get through them. And then we're able to, at some point in time, look up and realize that we are surrounded in our dream. And then we are in this constant state of awe of like, wow, I did the exploration. I let life be an adventure and it brought me to this incredible moment or this incredible place and these incredible people that are just going to care for me simply because I exist. Love you, man. Thank you so much. Good, good, good. Yes, feeling the love, feeling safe here. I'm so happy to hear that for real, Sierra. Like, I don't just say that to be like cutesy bootsy. I'm dead ass about that. So I'm so happy you feel safe here. We're about to wrap up. Thank you again for being with me. Next week, we will be doing week 2. You guys are going to be able to get the replay for this and the notes by Tuesday. Week 2, we will be talking about recovering a sense of identity. It's going to be fun, very exciting. Because once you feel safe, now it's time to explore who you actually are and feeling safe. And that could be a completely different version of who you were when you were unsafe. Okay? So I want you to keep that in mind. Please continue to do your morning pages. Look into your artist dates. Okay? I think I might add like a little section for us to like jot down some ideas for artist dates because I still struggle with artist dates. I'm very transparent about my journey. I still struggle with them. But they are just as important as the morning pages. Continue doing them to the best of your ability. And then for the task, I'm going to put the task in the replay too. Pick 2 or 3 tasks that are going to help you. I don't need you to promise me because it's important that you do it. But I will put the task there for you and you can pick whichever ones feel best for you to do. And then, of course, let us know in the chat and we'll have a space for it next week to talk about how that experience was for you. Because the tasks are pretty cool. You don't have to do all 10 of them. Okay. She just gives you 10 for like spiciness. Pick which ones really resonate with you or pick the one that kind of makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable and see what you get from there because they're very amazing tools to use. Yeah, I need ideas too, Sia. So I think I might hop in the group chat this week and like just start pulling some things together. She gave the idea of like going to like a 99-cent store, grabbing things you enjoyed as a child and just buying them and then having time to play with them. You can also take time to like color or paint, do something that's based in like the physical arts, maybe dancing or singing, going out in nature. For me, I really like going to like watch live jazz. I like being really immersed in art. It helps me not be in my head because I'm constantly planning and thinking. You could have like a running list of things. So if you have any artist dates that work for you that you've tried, we'll have that in the group chat. So please make sure that you are subscribed. And if you want to donate because you felt this resonated with you, I'm going to leave the donation information up in both of the class notes and in the email that'll follow up for this, okay? So you'll be able to donate via Venmo, via Cash App, PayPal, or you can always go to my Insight Timer account and you can donate there at any time, whatever feels best for you. I also suggest just becoming a paid subscriber. It's $9 a month and it covers everything and you get more exclusive content and you help to allow me to continue to show up in my artistry. And I love you so much. I really hope that this week, as you are exploring a sense of safety, you come back to the EFT in moments that you may be triggered because that does happen. When we start to talk about topics, you start to see it everywhere. So if there's moments when you feel unsafe, I want you to come back and rewatch the EFT. If not the EFT for this session, I have tons of EFT available on my YouTube channel and on my Instagram, like mini sessions and full-on sessions from everything from anxiety to rage to like full moons and everything you could possibly imagine. So you can always use EFT or tap on your sweet spot in those moments that you may feel triggered and use your journal to document when you felt safe, when you didn't feel safe. That's going to be so helpful when we go back and review them because that's going to happen a few weeks down the line. Okay. We'll be live again next Sunday, same time, 12:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And yeah, I love you so much. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for allowing me to read to you and to share my personal experience. And I hope to see you soon in some capacity. Okay. Love you.